All right, hello, family. I'm here again because I wanted to give one more quick preview because later today I'm going to be part of the Authority, Influence, and Profit Summit. You also might notice we've upgraded our visuals a little here. There's all sorts of good things happening. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm talking about today because whenever you see me go live, you're probably like, what's he doing now? What's he talking about now? And really, what I want to talk about is I want to go back through years and years and years of experience that I've had with events. And I've been to probably thousands of them by now. It's something like someday I should sit down and tally and figure out like exactly how many events it is. But it's probably getting into the thousands when you factor in all the live events, all the travel, all the virtual events. And so, in having a lot of experiences with these events, I've seen a lot of different offers. I've seen a lot of different offers delivered in a lot of different types of ways. So, offers that are for live workshops, for virtual events, for ongoing programs, for other live workshops, for selling other things. And so, today, what I want to start covering is why so many of those offers that I've seen haven't worked and what you got to do to fix them. And before I get into that, I'm going to give a little preview topic today because when I was thinking about this, I'm like, okay, well, what are some rookie things that I see in presentations or when crafting your offer or putting your things together? There are definitely some rookie mistakes that kind of are a tell. In fact, that you can tell with a speaker that they're new to the game or that they're not familiar with this offer, or worse, that they're not confident in themselves and not confident in what they're doing. So that's the first place that I want to start. So rookie mistake number one, you're overcompensating. That's the biggest one. You're overcompensating in your offer. So, yes, you want to have a valuable offer. You want to have something that's amazing and that people know is amazing and that it's easy. Like you're making it a no brainer almost for people to buy from you whenever they see you. Again, virtual, live event, anything else. This needs to be a complete no brainer to buy. But what you start to see with some people, especially when they're overcompensating, is that there's so many features and so many components and so many promises and so many different things that you're trying to do that it becomes obvious that this is way more than one offer. It's way more than one thing or way more than one program. And so overcompensation is a killer. It's a huge issue that you have when you're trying to. Anna's coming in behind me. You can come in. It's okay. I'm just letting you know. Just come in. Anna's the coffee delivery. Normally she's on this today, but thank you so much for that. So overcompensating is an absolutely huge issue, and it kind of shows off a little bit, especially when you're up against the speaker who's trying to get you to do one thing or has a solid offer that has a couple of really solid components, especially when it comes to an intro level offer. If it's a free event or a low cost event that you have in the beginning, do not overcompensate on those offers. In fact, the most experienced speakers that I know say something really particular. They say that your objective whenever you're starting with someone is that you need to do one key breakthrough. Your first program or your first works with people need to focus on one key breakthrough. One key thing that you're trying to get people to do. One big change that you're trying to get people to make. One routine that you're trying to get people to adopt. And so, what you might need to do is look into that one breakthrough that you're trying to create or that one thing and focus in and divide that a little more effectively into components. So, you want to make sure that that is guiding people through that because your job is just to create one thing. It's to create one thing. And for the most part, in all of your early offers, up until someone's working with you at the highest level, where you're doing your direct service with them, or you're in a mastermind, or you're in something like that, when you're at that level, sure, at that point, when you're doing something that's like $5,000 plus, you can make multiple promises and people need to consider that. And for the most part, when someone's working with you at that level, you're going through a transformational process. But in this case, you want to make sure do not overcompensate on those first offers. So from there, the next big thing that you do is you come across as cluttered or unfamiliar with your offer, with what you're doing. A lot of times this shows up in the sense that people are, unwilling to take questions until they're done with the presentation, or they're not sure how they're going to be doing, those types, like what specifics about their offer, or you're just, like you come across as not confident with it. And yeah, confidence is key in all of these different areas. I understand, like, most of the time when you're delivering for the first few times, you're delivering something new, you're not going to be perfectly confident. That's just not a thing that's going to happen. But what you need to be confident in and most assured of is you need to be super confident and assured in the specifics of your offer. You need to be able to stop and answer questions and objections right away. In fact, when you get really good at this, what you're going to start to do in your presentations and when you're making your offer is you're going to address those objections before people even have them. In fact, one thing I love about when people ask questions during an offer pitch or during a presentation about something specific is that tells me, okay, either at this point or before this point in a presentation or my slides or whatever I'm doing, I need to make sure that I'm really focused in on saying, okay, I'm going to address this objection. I'm going to share an example of someone that overcame this problem. I'm going to do something specific that addresses that, because if one person has this issue, then multiple people have this issue. That's really the way that it is. And especially when this happens in an event room or it happens in something that, when it happens in the space, it's if one person has it, the entire room has it, any of those types of things. So keep that in mind with what you're doing. Don't be super completely ultra confident in your offer. And if you're not, chances are you're suffering from one. You're suffering from that overwhelm, or you're trying to do too much, or trying to think about too much, or trying to juggle too many pieces in what you're trying to do for your offer to make sense. Then the last thing is you're not sure. I like to use, and this is a common marketing jargon term, when you talk about before and after states. So the transformation, what happens before and after, you have to be able to talk about how it feels once someone is in the after state with you. So right now they have problems, they have issues, they have, something that they need from you, something that you're going to take away from them. And the issue that most people have is they can tell you all day about the what. They can tell you all day about the how. Like, here's the 8-week training program I'm going to give you, or here's the coaching advice that I'm going to give you, or here's the journey that we're going to go through, or here's all these different things. But then they can't tell you what it's going to feel like once those things are gone. So like when you're using the system, how do you feel? Is it actually something you like? And it's a joke I make a lot in the offer workshop. It's a story that I hear, and I know I repeat this one a lot, but it's true. Like, if a personal trainer told you all the details of what they were going to do to you when you started that process, I'm going to make you stop eating your favorite foods. I'm going to make you wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm going to make you exercise until you feel sick or until your body hurts. You're going to be sore for 3 or 4 days and not able to sit down right until you get into the flow, until you get into the thing of doing this. Most people are going to go like, no, I don't want that. But why you do it, why you go through this process, why you do that is for how you feel at the end. Because at the end of that, you're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to be more confident. You're going to be more expressive. You're going to have clothes that fit. So you're going to walk around feeling like, man, I just feel better. If you aren't in the spot where you can describe that easily and you can say, okay, this is how someone's going to feel after they're working with me. This is what they're going to have. And we go into that a lot in the workshop. That you've got to get really specific into that. And if you forgot what that's like, I think this is the issue with most people. Most people forget what it was like to be in the before state. You've been doing this for years, or you've been becoming an expert, or you've been working the way that you've been working for many, many years. And so it's easy to go, well, now I have a whole different series of problems. I'm trying to scale instead of trying to get my first client, or I'm trying to put systems in place or automate things rather than figure out what the system should be in the first place. And so it's easy to lose sight of that and understand that people that are working with you early on, they don't have that experience. They're not at the level that you're at. And even by the benefit of the experience that you have, especially if you're like me and you're someone that has years and years and years of experience in what you're doing and how you're doing it, then for the most part, especially for me, when I'm talking to people, I'm mostly relying on experience. I have that luxury. I have that luxury of I've seen a lot. I've worked with a lot of different types of people. I've worked with people who are more aggressive, people who are more direct, people who are more introverted and softer, people who have the audience sell each other rather than them sell the offer. So really, it's not necessarily about the specifics of what your offer is or how you sell it, because I think that's a magic bullet. I've been talking about this with my team a lot over the past few days, is that everybody's looking for the magic bullet. And man, I would love to be able to provide the magic bullet and say, you do this one thing and that's going to be the thing that moves you forward. Well, I will say there is one real magic bullet. Have sales conversations every day. If you're selling every day and you want to make more money, then that's the direction that you're going. If you do have sales conversations every day, that's really the only magic bullet that there is. Find people to talk to and talk to them. But outside of that, everything else is focused on a more long-term trajectory. It's saying, okay, we know that these are processes we're going to put in place. When I make my offer the first time or I make my pitch the first time, I understand that this is a process and I'm going to refine and improve that process every single time that I show up to make that offer. For me, this is just as true as it was when I was starting. Every time I make my offer, I get a little bit better. I change something up. I answer a different objection. I position it a different way. So I say, okay, I tried to do it this way last time and I didn't do that. And I'm going to show that. I wish there was an actual magic button. That is true. If there were a magic button, then that's all we would need to do. We wouldn't even need to have a business. We'd just be like, okay, come to us and press the magic button. I think right now what's funny is like everyone is thinking that things like ChatGPT and all that stuff are the magic button, which again, don't get me wrong, I love ChatGPT and I use it every day. In fact, in our video course that we're doing right now, which a lot of you are part of or been part of that, in our video course right now, our social tool that we've introduced actually has AI built into it. It has ChatGPT built into it. ChatGPT could save you immense amounts of time used correctly, and you can train it over time to understand you a little bit better and work a little bit better. I really am an advocate of you shouldn't be using it exactly the way that it is out of the box. You should be refining it. You should be adding your voice, any of those things. I saw a great presentation with Kelly this morning as part of the Authority Summit where she talked about ChatGPT. So again, everybody's looking for the magic bullet. Everybody's hoping that there's one key move or two key moves. And unless you are fantastically lucky, which is not true for most business owners, some of you might be. I'm not saying get discouraged. Some of you might be fantastically lucky. And if you're that person, feel free to share a little of that luck with me. But for the most part, what I'm focused on is the reality, is the long term. It's saying, okay, how do you get better every single time? How do you avoid these kind of rookie moves or rookie mistakes that trip you up every single time? And then the last thing I want to throw in there, because we've talked about a couple of different points when it comes to that, the last thing is overcompensating with your materials. So we've talked about overcompensating with your words. We've talked about overpromising. We've talked about kind of going too far with what you're trying to do. But then a lot of times your materials are what's sabotaging you, whether it's your slides, whether it's your flyers, whether it's your order forms, whether when you send somebody to a page to buy something and they get something that's like 3 miles long and it's something that no person would ever go through all the details and be able to read, unless you're doing that as part of a strategy. I know I brought this up on the offer workshop. I don't think I brought this up on a live, but I love to bring up the page that Russell Brunson had for the ClickFunnels Summit this year. That page might have been the most gigantic sales page I've ever seen. And what's hilarious is most marketing experts, probably myself included, would tell you that long form pages that are that long don't work anymore. However, what he was doing was very strategic with that and saying that you knew when you looked at that page that there was so much happening at that event and so many experts and so many speakers and so many things that were happening that you would just go, wow, I'm stupid not to go. Like, I'm stupid not to go with all of these things that are there. Strategically, you can do that, but for the most part, you don't have to do that. And what's even worse is if you're in a place where there's just too much detail or too much description, or you're getting into the weeds in a way that doesn't make sense, your materials are actually sabotaging you. Like, great example, I've had this happen on webinars a lot, where I deliver a webinar. The sales pitch on the webinar is very finely crafted and very well honed. It's very specific and dialed in to what I'm doing. And then they get to the sales page and the sales page starts making them ask a bunch of different questions. They're like, oh, well, on the sales page, you mentioned this. On the webinar, you said it was going to be this. Then when I got to the sales page, there was all this other detail about these things. So one thing that's really important is I always try to align my materials as closely as I can. So if I'm about to do a presentation, like when I'm about to do an Authority Summit, where I'm doing a pitch or I'm doing something like that, I want to make sure that what the page is saying is very similar to what's in my slides, or is only expanding on that in a way that isn't going to create new problems or new objections. Like, I'm only asking for things that make sense to need, rather than saying like, okay, I need all of your details right here. So everything makes sense. That's really the key to all of this. Everything needs to make sense. It needs to make sense for you, Because if it doesn't make sense to you, it's never going to make sense to your audience. It's never going to make sense to your people. So first and foremost, it needs to feel simple, easy, and make sense to you, and then conveyed in a way that's simple, easy, and makes a ton of sense to your audience. So I'm going to go into a lot more depth on this today in the Authority, Influence, and Profit Summit. I'm super excited to do that. If you have not registered yet, it is not too late. If you want to go back and watch the sessions from this morning, all of them are available as part of the VIP upgrade that you can get with this. All that's at that same link, nowpresentingyou.com/authority summit. I'm going to be presenting, it's just about 90 minutes right now. Actually, I'm going to double check and make sure because I'm always on this in my calendar. Yeah, it's really just about 90 minutes away. So 1 p.m. my time, which is 12 p.m. Pacific. So if you want to catch that and want to understand a bit more about why your offer might not be working or some things that you might need to fix when it comes to that, then please make sure that you join me there, nowpresentingyou.com/authority summit. I'm going to head back over there. Thanks for watching this, or if you're catching this on the replay, again, it's not too late. Head over there, pick up your VIP, grab the recordings. If you're seeing this later tonight after I presented, that's okay. I'll be presenting here. But again, you can head over there. There are over 40 amazing speakers that are part of this. There is 5 different independent learning tracks that you can join as part of this. So many different talented and amazing people that are part of this. So again, make sure that you join. It's free. Nowpresentingyou.com/authority summit. I hope to see some of you there in 90 minutes. Bye.